In this video, I'm going to show you how I got my first bees and how I did it easily and at no cost. But before I get into it, I highly recommend that you do a basic beekeeping course first to understand the bees that you're going to be working with. Here in South Africa, we work with a fairly aggressive species of bees, and in order for you to be safe and the people around you and the pets to be safe, you need to understand the bee that you're working with. Getting bees around the world can be fairly simple. They order them online and the bees get delivered, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. But in South Africa, it's not as easy as that. We don't really have this kind of facility available to us. So we can get bees from other beekeepers, and those beekeepers will sell us bees if they have them available. And then logistics is arranged between you and the beekeeper to go either and pick up the bees from that site, or they'll come and deliver those bees to you on a time that's convenient for them. Well, both these options, you're going to have to pay for your bees. I'm going to show you a third option where you can go and get your bees and it won't cost you a cent. The only equipment that you're going to need is your bee suit, gloves, maybe a hive tool, and we use a carefully adapted milk bottle carton where we cut it in half to scoop the bees. Oh, and you'll need your 6-frame box too. I'm going to show you 2 examples of how we collected swarms in one night and we got paid by both of these homeowners. Both of these were recently landed swarms, and I recommend going this route because the bees are not very defensive, they've got nothing to protect, and they're quite small in size, so it's quite quick and easy to remove. In the first example, we chatted to the homeowner and we found out that those bees had recently landed and had only been there for a couple of days. They were in a nicely contained area where we could easily scoop them up. We could see where the bees were, and it was easy for us to know whether or not we had collected all the bees and put them into our 6-frame nuke. When I first started beekeeping, it was difficult for me to spot the queen. But as I've spent more and more time with my bees, it's easier. In this particular case, though, we didn't spot the queen, but because we were in this nicely contained area, we knew we had got all the bees collected and put them into the box, and in that case, we knew we had the queen in the box. There was nowhere for her to go and hide. In the second example, we removed a really, really small swarm from inside a water control box. This was a really simple removal and probably one of the easier ones that you can do because it's on the ground. So when you get that inquiry or you're seeking out that removal, try and look for those that are easy to get to, not well-established swarms, and you can do it very quickly and easily without any specialized equipment. So in this case, we also again contacted the homeowner. The homeowner said that the bees hadn't been there for very long. They had just recently landed. When we got there, we saw this. I mean, these bees were really, really small. They were pretty much a handful of bees. And because they were so small, we easily spotted the queen and we were able to clip her and put her in the box, knowing that we had caught her. For this kind of removal, it's actually nice to be able to do this because there's lots of places that she could have scurried to and hidden, and then we would never have known whether or not we had got her in the box. I often get asked, why do we work at night? And there's actually 2 reasons. The first one being that if our bees get defensive, by working at night, we're able to control them and nobody can get hurt or injured, and pets are safe, and the people in the urban area that we're working are safe. Reason number 2 is that we know that at night all of the bees, the foragers, are back on the nest, and we're able to collect all those bees and put them in the box and take that box that night to our apiary. Whereas if we did it during the day, we would probably have had to leave the box behind with the queen inside, hoping that the rest of the nest would move into that box and then come back and collect it. So logistically, it was another trip to that homeowner's house to go and collect those bees. So working at night, you almost guarantee that you're going to get all the bees in the box and taken to the apiary. There are many more easy removals on my channel that you can go and have a look at as examples of how you can get your bees. We've got some really nice ones and some fake rocks. And then there was a recent one that we just did with bees underneath an old piece of furniture in a cupboard. And you can go and check that one out in the link in the corner. Also recommend once you've transferred your bees to the apiary that you put a feeder in and you feed them. This will give the bees the necessary resources for them to create new wax and to create the new comb that they would have been doing in the location that they had chosen where you've just removed them from. The beauty about getting your bees this way and going and doing these really, really simple and easy removals is that you get up close and personal with the bees and you really start to see how bees operate in the wild, how they build, how they behave. And this can teach you also how you need to interact with your bees within the hive. Your first removal might not be that successful, but don't worry about that. The bees sometimes abscond and then they leave that hive. But this process is easy enough for you to replicate, and you've got all the equipment now in any case. If you found this video useful, then I highly recommend you take a look at one of my previous videos, the 5 mistakes I made when I first started beekeeping. And please leave any questions or comments below. We can all learn from each other.